into this article, I want you to take notice to the fact that the media in this country, they're calling this guy a terrorist. Terrorist Sayfullo Saipov celebrates deadly Manhattan truck attack while at hospital. He feels accomplished. Now, he killed 8 people, injured 12. He's a terrorist. Stephen Paddock killed 59 and injured 527. He's not a terrorist, ladies and gentlemen. He's just a shooter. Boy, the hypocrisy all over this country, the stench is going up into the heavens. The terrorist truck driver who carved a 14-block path of destruction along a lower Manhattan bike path was celebrating the deadly attack, sources said Wednesday. Sayfullo Saipov, 29, was rejoicing in his room at Bellevue Hospital after killing 8 people and injuring 13. Okay, it's 13, up from 12. Others along the Hudson River Tuesday, sources told the Daily News. He's talking, he's laughing, he's very happy with what he did, said a source who was briefed by a hospital staffer on the floor. He feels accomplished. A second source said Saipov, in his interviews with investigators, said no remorse and was glad. Said that he did what he set out to do. Hey, I guess this is a wicked form of justice, ain't it, ladies and gentlemen? You know, he sounds no different than a cop that shoots black people in this country and have no remorse. They're celebrated when they kill us. Money's raised for them, and people are cheering as they beat the court cases and walk out and go home. Oh, my bad. They're not supposed to kill your cave-dwelling ass. I'm sorry. The ISIS-inspired Saipov was said to be in critical but stable condition after a sharpshooting NYPD cop put a bullet in his abdomen following the Halloween assault. Saipov planned the attack for a number of weeks, said NYPD Deputy Commissioner for Counterterrorism, John Miller. Well, so much for that BIE crap, huh? Always trying to put terrorism on everybody else. He seemed to have followed almost to a T the instructions ISIS had put out on how to carry out a truck-borne attack, Miller added. Investigators found at the scene the paintball and pellet guns Saipov was brandishing. In and around his rented Home Depot truck, they discovered multiple knives and a handwritten note in Arabic. The gist of the notes was Islamic State would endure forever, Miller said. The suspect arrived in the U.S. from his native Uzbekistan in March 2010, authorities said. Saipov was never the subject of an FBI or NYPD investigation, but he was reportedly on the radar of the authorities. Saipov was in fact interviewed by federal agents in 2015 in connection with a probe of terror suspect who overstayed their tourist visa, ABC News reported. And you know, Trump said he wants to ban these visas, but he's not doing anything to white males that were responsible for the Las Vegas shooting. So one Arab man, the whole visa program needs to be banned. But when a white man goes out and kills 59 people and injure 527. Nothing is done to them. Just the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is overwhelming. And then in Charlottesville, we had a white man use his car as a weapon and killed a woman, killed a white woman. Nothing is being said about that. Oh, that's right. We don't call white men in America terrorists, even though they carry out terrorist acts. We only reserve that for BIE and Arabs and anyone else that don't look white. Bunch of hypocrites. The suspect was listed as a point of contact for two men whose names appeared on the Department of Homeland Security counterterrorism database. Miller said investigators were in the early stages of digging into his past and terror links. Did they do this with Stephen Paddock, y'all? I didn't think so. What we are looking for is how has the touch of the subjects of other investigations, Miller said. It appears he will have some connectivity to individuals who were the subject of investigations through he himself was not. Sources says Easy Pass records reveal that Saipov drove into the city earlier this week via the Holland Tunnel and George Washington Bridge in what investigators believe were reconnaissance trips. Saipov spoke via cell phone to people in Florida and New Jersey in the hours before the attack, but investigators were still working to determine if the calls had anything to do with his sinister plans, sources say. And you can see one of the victims mowed down right there. Earlier in the day, Governor Cuomo said Saipov was radicalized in the U.S. in the last 7 years. Well, the white male has been radicalized since the 1600s in America. Are you investigating that? After he came to the U.S., is when he started to become informed about ISIS and radical Islamic tactics, Cuomo said on CNN. But you know what? We should not look at this guy as other, because according to the census, these Caucasoids count Arabs, Hispanics, East Indians, okay, all these people as white. So we should look at this dude as white. That's what he's counted as on the census. Okay. The suspect lived in an apartment in Paterson, New Jersey, with his wife and two daughters and infant son, neighbors said. Saipov was known as a congenial man who largely kept to himself. He always seemed pleasant every time I see him. Nothing out of the ordinary that would be shocking, said a 32-year-old neighbor who identified himself as Keith. Oh, they just good actors, just like you are. That's all. Good actors. I mean, this country is full of good actors. Okay, so I guess this is the look like some kind of written complaint against the suspect that was drawn up. Yeah. Okay, this was drawn up after his attack. That's all. This is what New York City has filed. Okay, I'm not worried about that. But, you know, when I leave the description to the article, if you want to read that, you can. He moved to New Jersey after stints in Ohio and Florida, where he was known as a pleasant guy who showed no interest in radical Islam. He was a very good person when I knew him. All right, so there's just people talking about they like them and all that stuff. He liked the U.S. He seemed very lucky, and all the time he was happy and talking like everything is okay. He did not seem to be a terrorist, but I did not know him from the inside. But you know what? Somebody had raised that point before, that there's been a high number of terrorists from Uzbekistan. And I really believe that's true. Um, it only makes sense that they would go to countries that would not stand out. And Uzbekistan is not one of those countries that you would just think about on a normal basis. You wouldn't think about it at all. So it's not really shocking, but I do find that to be interesting. But I'm going to leave the link to this article in the description box. But he kills 8 people, injures 13. He's a terrorist. Steve Paddock kills 59, injures 527. He's not a terrorist. Just saying, the hypocrisy is overwhelming. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And please hit the bell. That way you will know the next time my video comes out. Peace, family.